Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Team Jack Live on Thursdays here. I'm your host, Jeremiah Sirles. Again, this is something that Team Jack has put on so we can stay connected with you guys through these crazy times that we have been a part of, but we want to make sure we always stay connected with our supporters because without you guys, this is all for nothing because of your guys' great efforts that you put forth on this. So today we have a very special guest. I wanted to welcome our guest, Jordan Larson, former Husker All-American, current member of the U.S. Olympic team. Jordan, we are very excited to have you in, and we just thank you so much for all that you do for Team Jack, and it's very exciting. How have you been?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you've been really involved in Team Jack since the beginning. I mean, you were one of the first Team Jack All-Stars, and so on behalf of everyone here at Team Jack, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you will continue to do for Team Jack, and let's dive on in here. So where are you at now? What are you up to? What is Jordan Larson doing now?
Yeah, goodness. It was looking a bit more normal until this pandemic hit. So I've been kind of home, which is kind of near Malibu area, California. We actually train as a national team in Anaheim. So I was kind of training in Anaheim, but that kind of came to a halt. So I've been working out in my garage and trying to make do and playing quite a bit of golf. So it's been kind of a nice little peek into retirement, I think. But yeah, it's been really good, but I'm excited to start ramping up here soon. I think June 1 will be our date where we're kind of, small condensed groups, start working out a little bit more. So I'm kind of excited for that.
We actually had someone chime in with a question that is related to that, just kind of like how has this affected your training at all? Has there been areas of far as like you really haven't been able to do certain things that you wanted to do or certain things that you've been able to maybe focus on a little bit more with this thing? I mean, how has this really affected your career? I mean, you've been doing it for so long, you have such a routine, you know what works, and then all of a sudden just a huge wrench gets thrown into everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a bit of a change, but honestly, it's kind of been really nice for my mind and my body just to kind of disconnect a little bit and also, but really focus on like pushing the weight and because that's really all I can do right now. I'm touching the ball a little bit, but definitely not to what I was normally doing. And so really just putting attention on that. And we're doing like an eccentric phase. So I haven't done eccentric since, I mean, we do it like intermittently, but like actually having like an off season to focus on it has been really huge, and I think it's gonna really pay off for me. And I even joked, I was like, man, this could even prolong my career. Who knows, So yeah, it's been actually really nice, but not definitely not the norm.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing's normal. I think that you will agree with me and being that once we come out of this pandemic, you're going to see the people that are self-motivators and you're going to see the people that couldn't get it done. And it's going to be this very weird shift. I mean, what have you done to, I mean, obviously you're a competitive person and you don't make it to the Olympic level without being an ultra competitor, but what have you been able to keep yourself motivated where it's like, your buddy's not waiting for you at the gym at 6 a.m. and it's like, I could have one more cup of coffee, I could hang out. Like, what's been the biggest self motivator for you?
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see it. Initially, it was like, oh my gosh, this is really hard. But I've really just tried to set the intention of like every day, like waking up at the same time. Like I'm usually typically an early riser. So like when we talk about 6 a.m., like I'm usually 5:30, like roll into practice kind of thing. So I kind of moved it back a little bit. So I'm now waking up at 7 typically and still like having a breakfast and then working out. But we're on this like 3-day routine. So it's like lifting, body weight circuit, plyo, and then an off day, which is like an active recovery day. So those are typically the days that I'm golfing, or even sometimes I do golf on those other days. So I try to kind of mix it up, but still having that same routine like keeps me going. And then we do 2 weekly Zoom calls with our strength coach. So he's kind of on the screen watching me lift twice a week, and that kind of gets me motivated. At least sets a time of like, all right, I have to be on and get it done. So
That's awesome, guys. If you're just joining us again, it's Team Jack Live here on Thursdays at 1 o'clock Central. Our guest today, Jordan Larson, former Husker Volleyball stud, former Olympics, or not former, current Olympic stud for the U.S. team. If you guys got questions for her, please send them into the chat here. We'd love to answer them. We're here to chat with you guys, engage with you guys the best that we can. So please feel free to chime in here at any point, and we'll make sure we get some of those answered. So Jordan, past couple of weeks, you had some really exciting opportunities. First of all, congrats being named second member of the 2020 University Athletic Hall of Fame. That is awesome. A lot of us saw the FaceTime video with Coach Cook calling you, which is super special to tell you the news. What were some emotions? What was running through your head when you got that news?
Yeah, it's still like when you say it, it gives me chills. I still don't like honestly believe it. It's like such a whirlwind, right? Like my career has taken me all of these places, and never thought I would be to this point. And it's a huge honor. And obviously, getting that call from Coach Cook, like he's always like pretty like stoic and serious. So, like when he was asking these questions, I was like, okay, it's probably for something that he's doing for the team. Like I really didn't think too much of it until like the last question. He was like, hey, what would I? And I was like, what are you telling me? Like there was a bit of confusion. So, yeah, it was it was awesome, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, was that expected, or did you ever really think of this as a thing, or did it really just kind of come out of nowhere?
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere. I was not, like my jersey got retired a couple years ago, like in Devaney, and so like I just didn't think, or like Coach Cook joked like, oh, you have to be old to be in the Hall of Fame, and so I was like, I got a couple more years, or stuff like that. So yeah, I really did not see it coming at all, which made it even more like cool, I think.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. We're also so pumped for you. I mean, you definitely have left a stamp here at the university that reaches beyond volleyball. So, also some other exciting some news that's come up is it announced that you're the lead role in an Upstart professional volleyball league. You're scheduled to launch next year called Athletes Unlimited Volleyball. Tell us kind of how this league came about, what your role is going to be in this league, and kind of what the whole thought process is with it.
Yeah, so the two founders kind of approached USA Volleyball and some of the athletes and kind of were just kind of toying around with the idea like last summer, like end of last summer. So I heard about it and I was like, this is unique, right? Like people have tried in the past to start a league and
Mhm.
it just could never get it going. And at first when they talked about like the rules, I was like, man, this is not normal, right? Like it's not normal volleyball. Like I don't know if that's gonna work, but now with like so much fantasy drafts and all these things, like people like love that kind of stuff. And so I think that is really like the where sports are going. And so it's really cool that that is kind of like the format of our league. It's only 6 weeks long. Basically you're drafted to a new team every single week,
Hmm.
and at the end of the week, like there's like four captains that are nominated like top four like players, and then they get to draft their own team, and your jerseys like are according like week by week. And yeah, it's just really unique. We're still it's very athlete driven, so like I'm on the athletes advisory board, which means like we're making decisions on everything, like who's included in the league, the scoring system, like how things are going to be run, and like the coaches. And so it's been really like super hands on, which as you can imagine during pandemic, I'm like, what am I going to do, right? Like it's giving me something to do. So I'm really thankful for that. But also I think it's just I've had a lot of chats with like some of these young club teams and these girls that are just now starting club, or kind of finishing club, and I'm like, this is what a great opportunity for them to have the opportunity to play in the States. And hopefully we can make this long and long lasting for those athletes that didn't have the opportunities that we did.
That's awesome. I mean, has the pandemic or anything affected that start date or affected kind of what you want, or is everything kind of rolling on schedule here?
Yeah, we're doing it right. I think softball is actually launching in August, and I think they're still rolling regardless if they can have people in the stands or not. So I think that just shows like the model and how successful it can be, regardless if there are fans in the stands or not. And we're fine. They did some findings that a lot of people are wanting to follow athletes versus teams, and so I think that'll still give people opportunity to say, hey, Faluka is my favorite athlete, and I'm going to follow her through this and see how she's ranking on the leaderboard, and like cheer for her accordingly depending on whatever team she's on that week. So yeah, it's a unique concept, but I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with this. Is it going to be regional or is it nationwide or how does that work?
Yeah, so initially we're just starting in one city. So in 6 weeks, it's all going to be in one city. But I think the hope is in years to come that it'll be like multi-city and across the whole nation. So I think they're really doing a good job of like, let's start with a small niche and then like continue to expand. Because I think sometimes we try because we're competing with the teams in Europe, right, who've been in business for over 50 years, and so I think it's a good start, and we have a lot of good backing. So I'm excited for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you're going to be a part of something like that. And again, that probably just glimpsed into retirement a little bit more of something else to keep your hands in volleyball, but not be still swinging, saving them shoulders a little bit. So you're a homegrown Nebraska gal. You come from a town just over 800 people. Hooper, Nebraska. Hold on, we're getting there. Is that right? Hooper?
That was good. That was good. Yeah.
Did you ever expect to be playing on where you're at now? I mean, growing up, we have a question here that says like, what got you into volleyball as a kid? You know, what made you that? And then also coming from that small of a town to where you are now playing, representing the entire United States. I mean, tell us kind of how that went for you and your thought process. And again, they want to know if like that's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, good. Yeah, you did great. Yeah, Hooper.
Hooper.
Good.
Okay.
Hooper.
Okay. My father-in-law lives in West Point, and we drive right by it, and they've called it like 9 different things. I'm like, okay, I'm getting this settled today.
Yeah, no, you did great. Good job. Yeah, I never in a million years would. I believed in my heart that this is where I wanted to be, but I didn't know what that looked like or how that was going to be. But I don't know. I was just a very athletic kid. I was in a lot of different sports. My mom put me in soccer first, and then softball and basketball. I ran track. I was in the band. You know, I did a lot of things. And being from a small town, you can do all those things. You know, and so I just really started to fall in love with volleyball when I started club at the age of 12, and then it just kind of grew from there. So I was like, man, what a cool opportunity that I get to go to these bigger cities, Omaha and Lincoln, and get to play with these players, and then I get to say I get to play with this person, and I have friends outside of my small town community, and like I don't know, I was just really intrigued by it all. And then we got to go to nationals, and it was like, oh, we got to leave the state, and it's like it's crazy, and it just kind of really expanded from there. But I never would have thought that I would be sitting where I am and traveled to the places that I've been, played in where I have, and met the people I've had. No, it's crazy.
Do you get back much? Do you have family that still lives there, or not as much?
Yeah, my dad still farms back there. My grandpa's still there. My grandpa just turned 96 this year. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, I try. Yeah, yeah. So I try to make it back when I can. Obviously, not as much as I would like, just because I'm overseas quite a bit. But thankfully, we have FaceTime and all that stuff now that it's easier to stay in touch with those people.
Absolutely. I mean, you talked a little bit on growing up and kind of seeing what it meant. Like, what would you now, looking back on it, give some advice to young athletes, maybe that are in the small towns there in Nebraska, or maybe even they're in big cities, but I mean, it's such a different culture that we live in now compared to when even you and I were growing up, of the social media age and trying to compare yourself all the time to other people. I mean, if you can give maybe one line or a few lines of advice to young athletes, especially young female athletes in today's age, what would be some things you would tell them?
Yeah, I think social media is so hard right now, and I can't imagine being a young kid in this time and like the comparisons and all that stuff. So first of all, I would say like limit social media hours. I know that's tough, but I would say that would be one start. And then I think just being a multi-sport athlete like really like gives your mind and your body some rest and some time away. And so I would really focus on that, just taking the time to get to know other sports. You never know where your passion may lie and where that should go. And I think my parents did a good job of really trying to expand that, yet try to push me in other areas and like challenge me, because I think there are a lot of challenges in other sports that you don't really know if you're just focused on one. So that would be my two things. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you grew up in Hooper.
Yeah,
Gosh,
Hooper.
I'm messing up that right.
Yeah,
You come to Nebraska, and you then go on and you have all these great moments. Do you have certain moments that really stand out to you, that both Nebraska, professionally, maybe even high school or younger, that you really can like stand and say, these were pivotal moments in my career that I will remember always as I played volleyball?
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail because I do have a lot. I would say, say again.
So we got time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a couple memorable moments in high school. I think I served like almost an entire match once, like just by myself. So that was kind of cool. And then obviously going into college, like I think 2005, my freshman year, I had one kill in the national championship match. That was a bummer. But I think it helped us propel into 2006 to win a national championship. It was a very nice memory. We spent time over abroad, and I think we really got to know each other. on a deeper level, which helped us perform in 06. And then fast forward to 08, we were not expected to do anything. We had lost a ton of talent the year before, and we come out and sweep Stanford, and I don't remember the other team, the first weekend, and everybody's like, whoa, this Nebraska team, what's going on, you know, like, but I think we really believed in what we were trying to do, and we did something really special that year. We almost beat Penn State in the Final Four, but that Washington match will probably go down in history as one of the best comebacks. And then I think next one would probably be making my first Olympic team in 2012, when I had been starting for like 3 years basically, and still until they tell you like you're officially on the 2012 Olympic team, you're kind of sitting in the coach's office, you really don't believe it. And so I think that was kind of a huge moment for me, and just all encompassing a lot of things going on in my life. And then I think 2016, sorry, all these memories, we lost in the semifinal match to Serbia, 15-13. And it was a bummer. And what they don't tell you is they don't hand you the bronze medal. You have to go in there and you have to earn it. And we had to go against a really talented Netherlands team. And we went out there and we earned it, and we got to walk away with the bronze. And it was a really cool team, and something that we should have won gold. We had everything. We had not swept, but just our pool play, we were undefeated, and it was just a bummer that we couldn't finish it out. But I think walking away with a bronze was good enough for people, and it meant a lot. So, and yeah, that's probably some majors in there. Those are fun.
Dude, that's a serious resume there. I mean, I think a lot of people would give to have that kind of resume. I mean, it's awesome to look back, and I know that now that I've retired, like you can actually start. You're not there. You're still swinging at it. Like now that I've retired, you get a chance to kind of look back, like, wow, that happened fast. Like man, like I feel like I just got to Nebraska last week, and here I am retired 6 years in the NFL, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, it's wild. So I mean, to hear your list of accomplishments is awesome, and we're excited to watch you continue growing to that resume and keep going here. Volleyball's given you heck of an opportunities to travel. You've been a lot of cool places. I mean, where's some of the coolest places you've been because of volleyball, and some places that you want to go back maybe post volleyball and just visit?
Yeah, goodness, I've been a lot of places. I've only been to, there's one tournament in Montreux, Switzerland, and it's like right on the lake, Lake Geneva, I believe. I could be getting that wrong, but oh my gosh, it's like the most amazing thing, like so peaceful, and we only got to spend like 10 days there, and obviously it's like hotel to the gym and that's it, you know. And so I would really like to go back and just visit and spend time there. Obviously there's a lot of places in Italy that I've gone, but really like Venice, like I would love to go back and like spend some time there. I love Japan. Like I could live in Japan, and we go there often as a national team, at least once a year. And so I would love to go back and just spend some time, and there's a lot of cool places there to do that. And then I think, let's see, Brazil as well. A lot of cool places that I've been there that I would like to go back and spend time. So, but yeah, nothing. There's a couple other like vacation places that I want to go, but volleyball hasn't taken me there. But I'm gonna go there. I'm making a trip. So.
Absolutely, that's awesome. I mean, so you travel a lot, you're playing a lot. I mean, you go overseas quite a bit. I'm sure you still keep up with the Husker volleyball team. I'm sure you're definitely still one of their biggest fans. What are some things you're looking from them for this year, or coming out of them? I mean, maybe I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super caught up with the Husker volleyball team at the moment. I hope to more now that I'm retired. But what are some things you're looking for from this 2020 Husker volleyball team?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I can remember correctly, it didn't end like how they wanted, right? Like I think it was. I think they had a pretty good year, considering they did lose some talent the year before. But I think they have some leaders on the team, and some girls that are going into their senior year, and so I think there's gonna be a lot of external motivation, and I think they're gonna bounce back. Not that bounce back, but I think they're going to be very high contenders for a national championship this year.
That's awesome. I'm excited to watch them. So guys, we're getting ready to get to the point of the show here where we answer the audience questions. Again, our guest is Jordan Larson today. Very lucky and excited to have her here. If you got questions for her, please send them in here in the questions portion of the webinar here, and we'll make sure to get those asked to her. Last question here before we get to that, Jordan, is do you have the U.S. team qualify for the 2020 Olympics, which is supposed to be held in Tokyo, but also recently postponed? I mean, what were feelings when you heard that? I mean, I've got a friend that wrestles for the U.S. Olympic team. Her name's Adeline Gray, and she was just, I mean, she was devastated. And it's just like, I mean, I can't imagine you train in these 4-year blocks and they say like, hey, nope, hold another year. I mean, what was that like for you and your teammates and your coaches and your family? And I mean, crazy.
Yeah, it definitely, I don't think it hit me as hard as others. I don't know why. I think for me, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna keep grinding. Like, I've just been in it for so long. It's like, all right, whatever, and then like I said that, and then 2 days later, I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? Like, oh my gosh, like it's not just a year, it's like 14 months, 15 months later, like we gotta still keep grinding. I gotta go back overseas. I gotta, and I just, then it kind of like the weight kind of finally hit me, and I was like, all right, yeah, this is definitely going to be a challenge. But honestly, I'm kind of looking at it as like a thankful time. Like, I think our team needed it, and we are now working on stuff outside the court, and I'm just like, I'm grateful for the spot that we're in, and I think we'll continue to grow from here, and we have like a chance to keep getting better. And I'm just kind of wrapping my mind around that part of it versus like my selfish reasons of like, well, I had all these things planned and life, and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I kind of think it happens for a reason, and so we're all in this boat and we're all in it together. And I think that's what's made me feel more comfortable, is like everybody's in this spot, and not about the Olympics, but I'm just saying like the world. I mean, it's
Right.
crazy, and I don't know, it's so comforting to me, like to know that not one person has had it easy during this time. And so I don't know, I think we're all going to come out stronger because of it.
So are you considered a veteran on your team then? I mean, have you had a lot of some of the younger girls reach out to you and say like, hey, what are you doing now? I mean, how much have you stepped into that leadership role now, being the veteran on that, and what has that meant for your teammates and your connections with your teammates?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm the oldest on the team, which is crazy. I remember being just this young puppy on the team, like, just tell me what to do. I just want to make the team. And so, yeah, it's been interesting. I've just tried to stay authentic to who I am, and just give suggestions when needed, but trying not to like demand a lot, because I do think it's a hard time for people, right? And I think also some athletes are experiencing burnout from like, we don't really have an off season, right? Like, people are like, oh, this is nice to like kind of step away and come back. And so kind of giving that space for those athletes to feel those things, but still trying to say, hey guys, like we can do some big things here. And I think having those individual conversations is really going to help like guide us and continue to build us. So that's what I'm trying to put my focus towards, but not trying to like poke too hard.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey Robinson's joined you guys there. I mean, how cool is that to have another Husker teammate there? I mean, be able to be living your guys' dreams out together, coming from the same place. I mean, you guys have a pretty special connection.
Yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, even Fecky came out. Like, I think it's just really cool, like being from the same university, and obviously, like, you kind of have somewhat of a similar experience, right? And so I think there's just this automatic connection, regardless if they want it or not. Like, I think there's just like this automatic respect level, and it's been really cool to get to know both of them, and kind of share in those experiences, and like, hey, what was Coach Cook like for you, or things like that. So yeah, it's been cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to get some questions from the audience here as we almost wrap up here, and one of them is, and I'm interested to hear this as well. How did you get the nickname the Governor,
Yeah.
and how did that come to be?
Yeah, goodness. So one of my best friends on the team, Feluca Akinradaro, she played at Stanford. We actually weren't friends. It's crazy. Obviously, from Stanford, we were kind of competing, and then first or second year on the national team, we're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then we roomed together, so it was like forced friendship.
Mhm.
And so then we really got to know each other, and she jokes about it. So it's been really cool to see our friendship grow over the years, and obviously we've been on the team now together for a really long time, and her brother actually kind of came up with it because we were in Thailand. This is so random. it kind of went over the edge because we were in Thailand and we were playing, and all of a sudden I see this guy at the end of the court wearing a Husker shirt, and I was like, no way, we're in Thailand, like, come on, man, you know? And then I like go over and talk to him, and he's like, yeah, I know your dad. Like, I'm from, I don't remember what small town he was saying. Yeah, I know your dad. And Faluka's like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you're known everywhere, right? Just joking. And so then she was, I think, telling her brother the story, and she's like, yeah, she's like the governor of Nebraska. And then it just, and like Faluka, like, if she has a nickname, she's one of those people that's really good at nicknames, period. And she will just continue to like say it regardless if you accept it or not. And so then it just like kept happening. And so now I've embraced it, unfortunately. So now we're trying to, so now I'm going to put out there. She played in Japan for many years. And so we're now trying to call her the Empress because she is like the Empress of Japan because she's won so many times. And yeah. So if you ever see her or what, anybody listening, like call her out as the Empress because
has it stuck at all?
Say again.
Has it stuck at all yet?
Yeah, we're trying. We're calling it, and hopefully it'll stick. So I'm depending on all you guys listening.
we got to spin those wheels and hope to catch some traction. A question just came in here. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier as far as your role in that Athletes Unlimited volleyball, but have you thought much about post-career plans? And kind of, I mean, are you going to stick in California, come back to Nebraska, or kind of where the wind blows you type of thing?
Yeah, no, I'm hoping to stay involved in Athletes Unlimited for the years to come, I hope. And then also I'm actually releasing a website that is going to offer, like coaching consulting, player consulting. I know you mentioned like being an agent, like maybe offering that same service on the volleyball side. There's really no like American agents just because we don't really have a league. And so it's kind of opening that for people as an option. I was planning on running a series of camps post Tokyo, but that got postponed. So we'll see kind of what that looks like moving forward. But I do plan to come back to Nebraska and run some of those camps. And just still getting my hands in volleyball because I think, I don't know, I can't get enough. I'm a volleyball person. I can talk about it all the time. And I've been all these places and done all these things, and now I want to give back and share my experience and kind of what's worked for me. I'm not saying what I do is end all be all, but just really help and facilitate those kind of conversations.
Is coaching anything that you see in your future at all, or not really?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to it. I think it would be great, and I think it's definitely a different challenge. And my boyfriend is currently a head coach and on the men's side, and so it's so interesting to I'm kind of learning through him of like, hey, how do you have this conversation, or how do you get this from this athlete, or different things. So kind of hearing that side of the coach's mind has been really intriguing. And so I think it would be cool to support him. I respect him a lot and what he's trying to do. And so maybe just supportive role of him, or whatever doors may open, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, it's like you have a PhD. I mean, you have a PhD in volleyball, right? And you got to find a way to give that back and continue to use that. And I mean, there's so many avenues. I'm glad to see that you're expanding that role. I mean, because that's really cool to hear. One question we just got come in here, and I don't know the exact answer. Maybe you do. Is how do you overcome the avoidant mindset? I'm not sure what that is.
Okay,
but
I've never heard that either. Maybe just avoiding things in general.
I don't know. If you're still in here and you ask that question, please clarify, because I'm not 100% sure what that means. So while maybe someone does that, we'll go to one more question here. And it says here, so we went over a little bit of a typical day of training right now looks like for you. If this was normal times,
yep,
and Olympics were still on track and planning to go, kind of what would your routine look like with that?
Yeah, so I'm typically an early riser, so I have to commute like a little over an hour, depending on most days. So I'm usually up at 5, leaving the house by 5:30, getting to the gym like a little bit after 7, and then I like start like warming up, even though practice doesn't start until 8:30.
Oh, I'm with you on that. Big warm up guy. Big warm up guy.
Yeah, so I'm either like jumping into Norma, which is like a recovery boot. So I'll sit there for about 20 minutes and then I'll foam roll, I'll jump on the bike, I'll do some mobility stuff, rehab stuff before practice, and depending on the day. So on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, we start lifting at 8:30. So we meet at the board at 8:25, start lifting at 8:30. We basically finish like 9:30, 9:45, and then we start practice at 10. And then on Wednesdays and Fridays, we just start practice at normal 8:30, and then we'll go to sometimes 11:30, 12. But then on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, we go from 10 to 1, 1:30-ish. And then we're actually done for the day, which is nice. We sometimes do have meetings, lunch is provided, but it's nice to get in, do it once and get it done, and then you have the rest of the afternoon. But half the time you're just so exhausted that you just go home and like want to sit or sleep. So, but yeah, that would be the normal routine that we're doing, but now is not the time.
How many days a week?
We usually only go 5, because they found that like on Saturday and Sunday having them off, like we are better in recovery. Like we used to only have 1 day off, and we just weren't getting the recovery that we needed. We'd still come in super fatigued on Monday, and like Monday's practice would just be awful. So trying to find that balance. So, but oftentimes we're on the road, so we usually don't even have an up day on the road. It's usually a travel day. So
Awesome. All right, last question here before we get you out of here, don't take up much more of your time, is someone asked the story on your bracelet. Is there one? I think they're referring to one on your right hand, I'm guessing, as they're watching. I don't know.
This one?
Is that just a hair tie?
I could talk about my tattoo, maybe. Is that what
Please,
they're at?
let's do that.
Okay. So my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer when I was a junior in high school, and stage 1, super, yeah, not easy, but as far as like stages you would want that one. And so she fought it really hard and ended up going into remission. And then at the 5-year mark, she kind of came down with this cough, and we just thought it was in the winter, like, oh, maybe it was just a normal cough, but it wasn't going away. And so they ended up doing a bronchoscopy, which is like they test the tissue in your lungs, and it came back that her breast tissue had come back, or breast cancer had come back, but had at that point had metastasized. So being a young kid in college, I didn't understand what metastasize meant. I just was like, all right, mom, you kicked its butt the first time, we're going to do it again. Little did I know that once it metastasized, there's really no cure. And so basically she fought hard for like 1.5 years after that, and passed away the year after I graduated from college. And one of my best friends at the time, she's awesome. She's super creative, Nicole Speck. She's not listening, but she's going to listen later. So this is to you, Nicola. She made up, her mom is like super creative too, made up a tattoo of, so it's the breast cancer loop with K, and then a breast cancer loop with my mom's initial K in it. And so she was actually the first one to get it. And I was kind of like, well, that's like so cool, and I was kind of scared. And so then it took me, I think 4 years later to finally get it done. So now I have my mom's representation on my arm every day, and I can look down on it and think about her. So, but man, it hurt for being small. It
looks
was
like a tough place.
Yeah, it was brutal. So, but it was a fun experience to go with my best friend and sharing that. And so now we both rock it. So I'm excited about that.
That's super cool. All right, we got clarification on the question.
All right, perfect.
All right, so it says it means that you will fail to do something before you do it, so you will avoid doing it. In other words, how do you overcome the fear of failure?
Oh, interesting. Oh goodness. Don't get me wrong, I fear a lot of things and have feared in the past, but I think knowing that without some sort of failure or getting into an uncomfortable position, like you like are hindering yourself from like advanced growth. So I'll give you an example. I did not want to be alone in life, period. Just like travel, I was scared to live on my own. I was scared to do all these things. And so like I just would always like need someone around me. And so I think until I got to the point where I was like, Jordan, you got to be like, okay, like here, like myself, and like confident in who I am, and like that I can stand on my own 2 feet and do all these kind of things. And so until I kind of accepted that and like faced that fear, like I couldn't really actually feel that growth. And so now, like being on the other side of it, I can tell you like it's so much more like eye-opening in life to like have that and be open to that and like challenging that fear. I think it's, yeah, so worth it. But I know it's a challenge, but I definitely say like lean into it and lean into that fear, because without that, like then are you really like trying to get outside your comfort zone? Because I think it's really comfortable to be in that zone, but I think once you kind of expand that, you're missing out a lot. So I don't know if that answers the question. That's an interesting one.
It is. I think I might add one thing to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be afraid to fail. I think that failing in your mind, people build up so much, like if you fail, you can never do it again, right? No, like, I mean, you failed and it's like you get yourself up and you come right back at it. And that's where that advanced growth piece comes. I think that you talk to a lot of athletes that have played at any level, especially professional level, like you fail a lot more than you succeed, but like that's what practice is for. And so I think like just pulling yourself back up and keep fighting at that. I think that's a good question. Props to, I think her name was Connie who asked that question. So props to that. Mina, thank you for asking that question. So Jordan, we don't want to take up any more time. You've been so grateful. So that wraps it up for this episode of this week. Special thank you to you for joining us, and a special thank you to all you guys for joining us watching. We hope that you guys stay healthy, you guys stay safe, continue to tune into our series. We are going to switch things up a little bit here. We're going to try and get back to normalcy as the world's going back to normalcy a little bit. So we're knowing you guys might start returning to work or have some things going on. So instead of doing this weekly, we're going to go ahead and start doing it bi-weekly. We will announce our next June date and guest soon. We don't have one scheduled right now, but if you follow on social medias at Instagram, Twitter, keep up at teamjackfoundation.org. We will keep you guys right in the loop with everything, with all the guests and stuff that we start planning here. So make sure that you go visit teamjack.org/donation or teamjack.org/live to make a donation to help us continue with this web series here. Jordan, before we let you go, you got anything else to say to the people listening here?
No, yeah. Thanks so much for having me on, and yeah, stay safe and healthy, and yeah, hopefully I get back to Nebraska soon. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, if you make it back, we'll make sure to catch you at a volleyball game, maybe a football game. We'll have to catch up sometime, Jordan. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all you do in the fight against pediatric brain cancer and helping with Team Jack. And we'll make sure that we'll see you guys here sometime in next June. I'm your host, Jeremiah Sirles, and that is Team Jack Live for this week. All right. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Nice to meet you. Take care. Have a good day.